Everybody loves a good conspiracy theory, and with how much money and influence Hollywood has over the entire world, there are a lot of conspiracies that arise when you start to look behind the scenes. Everything from murder mysteries to hidden romances to faked moon landings. Hollywood has pretty much every single conspiracy theory you can think of. So this video isn't really about conspiracy theories within films, it's about the film industry as a whole and conspiracies within that. So I'm going to talk about some of the biggest film industry conspiracy theories, and if you want to see more and you enjoy this video, then subscribe and let me know in the comments that you want to see more, because I definitely will make more of these. There are so many conspiracies that I could talk about, and this is just a minute few of them. So nothing is more interesting than a murder mystery conspiracy theory, so let's start there. William Desmond Taylor was a well-liked and well-respected director in the 1920s in Hollywood. And on February 22nd, 1922, in Westlake, Hollywood, William Desmond Taylor's body was found. A huge commotion was caused as people gathered in the room to view his body before any kind of investigation had begun, so this pretty much completely destroyed the crime scene. And in this commotion, someone identifying himself as a doctor came forward, and he claimed that Taylor died of a stomach hemorrhage, but this doctor was never seen again. I kind of love the idea that in the middle of this crime scene, someone just stepped forward, just like some random guy from the pub down the street, just said, I am a doctor, it's definitely a stomach hemorrhage, right? I'm out, see you later. It's pretty much the same as all the internet doctors these days that are just like, yep, definitely cancer. Oh, you've got a little bit of a cold? Yeah, you're dying now. So after this mysterious doctor left, suspicion started to arise about the cause of death. Taylor's body was then rolled over by investigators, exposing a bullet wound. Investigators saw that Taylor had been shot in the back. Seems like a pretty extreme stomach hemorrhage, so really shows the skills of the armchair doctor out there. On Taylor's body was his wallet holding $78 in cash, or around $1.2 thousand in today's money, a silver cigarette case, a pocket watch, and he was wearing a diamond ring. So robbery as a motive was pretty much completely out of the question, considering all of these really expensive items were left on Taylor's body. While being interviewed by the police 5 days after Taylor's body was found by investigators, Mary Miles Minter said that following the murder, a friend, a director, and actor, Marshall Nealon, had told her that Taylor had made some unusual statements about his friends leading up to his death. She also said that Nealon thought Taylor had recently gone insane. According to a famous editor and publisher at the time, the studio seemed to be fearful that if certain aspects of the case were exposed, it would exacerbate their problems. Paramount allegedly seemed to be taking steps to keep people quiet who may have had more information. So what exactly are the conspiracies in this, and what do people think happened? Due to the bullet wound, officials concluded that Taylor's arms must have been raised when he was shot. They later considered that this could have happened if the person was hugging him and shot him in the back, which I don't really know how the logistics of that work, because you would have to hug someone and then shoot them towards yourself. So I don't know how they concluded that, but that's why they're the officials. Police also found a nightgown at the scene, which was believed to belong to a woman. Before police even arrived, however, a manager from Paramount, Charles Aiden, visited the crime scene. After the speculation of Paramount trying to hide evidence, people suspect that he may have removed some items or added some items to the crime scene. One theory is that some of the added items to the crime scene were things like the nightgown, which would throw people off the idea of Taylor being gay. One of the actresses who lived nearby heard a potential gunshot along with a few other residents, and she saw a man outside of Taylor's home, who she said looked into Taylor's home as if saying goodbye and then left. Kind of a great way to try and cover your footsteps, to be like closing the door while there's a dead body inside and just being like, alright, see you later, goodbye friend, yes, we're having a conversation right now, you're not dead, bye. Testimony from 2 men claimed that at a gas station nearby Taylor's house they were asked by a stranger where Taylor lived, shortly before the murder. Their description, although quite vague, was very similar to that of the actress's description. One of the suspects was Edward Sands, who had convictions for financial crimes previously and had worked for Taylor, stealing money from Taylor while doing so. Sands was never heard from after the murder. Another suspect was Mabel Normand, whom Taylor was in love with, and she was the last person to see Taylor before he died. According to reports, Taylor had met with the police to file charges against Mabel's cocaine suppliers, which people believe could have then led to an assassination. There are many other suspects in this case, and it seems like new evidence will never come to light. So we'll never find out if any of those conspiracies are true. Was Mabel anything to do with it? Was it an assassination? Was it somehow due to Taylor being gay, or was the stuff done afterwards to cover it up? Was Paramount so heavily involved as what people think they were? I guess we'll never know. So let's move on to the next one, because pretty much everyone knows that award shows are complete BS at this point, especially with the level of pretentiousness that the Academy Awards brings to the table. Netflix films are heavily judged just because of the platform they're released on, regardless of how good they are. Young artists are shunned. Anyone who isn't white, male, or cisgendered struggles to get their name out there. But nothing has ever been quite as laughable as the La La Land and Moonlight moment. After the mistake was acknowledged on stage, the claim was made that the card on which La La Land was read from was actually the card for Best Actress, which was given to Emma Stone in La La Land. And they say that's why they read it wrong. But Emma Stone, shortly after the awards during interviews, then said that she had her card on her the entire time. And right after this, the Conspiracies immediately went crazy online, and everyone was convinced there was a much bigger plan behind this moment. But what actually seemed to have happened is that Emma Stone did keep the envelope for Best Actress, but they have two sets of envelopes, one at either end of the stage, so whichever side the person announcing it walks out from, they have an envelope to give to them. So she did have a copy of the card announcing her winning for Best Actress. She just didn't have the only card. It's still a bit incredible. It's such a big event with so many people working on it that someone just picked up the wrong card and had such a cringeworthy moment. You would think like they would have a few more checks in place to stop someone just picking up the wrong piece of paper. But big events like that can be a complete nightmare to keep on track. Even small events can be a nightmare to plan and keep on track. So it is believable that the conspiracies surrounding this weren't true, but I wouldn't put it past them for there to be something bigger behind this moment. Like, just take a look at the views that happened after this. No one was watching the shows, all of the viewership had started to decline. No one really cared as much about the Academy Awards or the Oscars as what they used to, even filmmakers, even people really interested in film. And after this moment, everyone was watching it, everyone knew about it. People then want to watch in future to see if any slip-ups like that happen again, so they can see it live, because that was such a cultural moment for everyone to be joking about the wrong card being handed out, the wrong thing read. And we all know the saying that any press is good press. So would you be shocked if it came to light that this was actually a planned moment? So I don't think I would. So everyone pretty much knows that Keanu Reeves is an actual angel, but there's even a conspiracy that he's immortal. And if there's anyone in the world that should get to live forever, it's probably Keanu. But I'll put up some of the photos now that people have found to show the resemblance between his lookalikes throughout the years. Or, you know, his past lives. And we can see how similar they look. So this is him in 1530. This is him in 1875, 1991, 1995, 2003, 2009, 2014, and 2017. Personally, I don't really think that the 1875 one looks that much like him, but I definitely see the 1530 one. And to be fair, he doesn't look like he's aged at all between 2003 and 2017 while growing a beard. That is pretty crazy. And now we get to see him in 2077 thanks to Cyberpunk. So one of my favourite film industry conspiracy theories follows a film that I think is absolutely incredible, 2001: A Space Odyssey. So we all know there are people who believe that we never really landed on the moon. But did you know there are people that believe that famed director Stanley Kubrick was the one behind all of the footage? The proof that people put forward of the faked moon landing is usually that the American flag which the astronauts planted was taunt and waving in what people believe should have been a vacuum. Although Buzz Aldrin has addressed this and explained that the wrong coating was applied to the flag and it wasn't fully extended, so it made it look like it was waving. People also suggest that the shadows in the photos which show Neil Armstrong and other objects are proof, as the shadows aren't parallel but the sun is the only source of light. But this can easily be reproduced on Earth when the sun is low. Also, the Earth has light has reflections, light can bounce off things. It isn't just like a straight line that hits something and then stops. People also mention the lack of stars in the photos. I just can't really see them taking really nice, like the best lenses onto a rocket ship, because that would be so much extra weight and it's not the most important thing. And also, when I point some cameras at the sky now, you can't see the stars on them, and those are cameras in 2020 that can't always see the stars. There is also a problem with the missing tapes. The moon landing footage that everyone knows and has seen isn't exactly the prettiest. It's dark, grainy, and fairly bad quality. But the issue with this was actually down to compression when the footage was relayed to Earth. There's a really interesting paper from Bill Wood that covers the television broadcasts of various moon landings, so I'll leave that in the description if you want to check that out. But Wood explains that the television broadcast industry required the inclusion of a gamma correction circuit in the TV cameras to make the light output on the TV screens proportional to the light in the camera tube. The video circuits in the Westinghouse Apollo television cameras did not include a gamma correction circuit, and this caused the EVA midtones to be a lot darker. So that's why the footage of the moon landing is really dark and grainy and bad quality. And there's also the argument of, well, if we've been once, why haven't we been back? Which I kind of understand questioning, but the main theory that we're discussing here is, did Kubrick help in faking the moon landing? I tried to find where this theory originally came from to kind of find out why people believed it and why it got so widespread, but it seems like people just decided collectively that this made sense. And then the more time people spent looking for patterns, the more patterns that they saw emerge, the more Easter eggs they thought they noticed. People believe that Stanley Kubrick left clues in all of his films, such as Danny Lloyd in The Shining wearing an Apollo 11 sweater. And I have a SpaceX sweater, so I can confirm that I'm helping Elon Musk fake our Mars landing. There have been a few mockumentaries and hoax videos which have been made on this subject, so that might have helped further people believe in it. Vivian Kubrick, Stanley Kubrick's daughter, has actually released a statement on this whole thing over on Twitter. And here she said, "Surely an artist, such as my father, whose profound degree of artistic integrity is self-evident, whose political social consciousness is manifestly present in nearly every film he made, whose highly controversial subject matter literally put his life at risk, and yet he continued to make the films he's made. Don't you think he'd be the very last person to ever assist the US government in such a terrible betrayal of its people? There are many very real conspiracies that have happened throughout our history, are happening presently. I'm only too aware of the dreadful manipulations perpetuated by government, secret services, banksters, and the military-industrial complex. But claims that the moon landings were faked and filmed by my father, I just can't understand it. How can anyone believe that one of the greatest defenders of mankind would commit such an act of betrayal? My father's artistic works are his unimpeachable defence. Finally, my love for my father notwithstanding, I actually knew him, I lived and worked with him. So forgive my harshness when I state categorically, the so-called truth these malicious cranks persist in forwarding, that my father conspired with the US government to fake the moon landings is manifestly a grotesque lie." This honestly is probably one of my favourite conspiracy theories in the film industry because it just seemed to have come out of completely left field and for no real reason. But I did struggle to find a big group of people who fully believe this, and I did end up in some just like weird corners of conspiracy internet. Also, just want to throw this in here, if you want to watch the Apollo 11 launch, one of the best ways to watch it is through this website that is on screen, and I will link it in the description. You get to watch all of the video and the footage and photographs as it goes, so you can experience it kind of as it happened. It's really cool. So I think that's all of the conspiracies we're going to talk about today. Which one was your favourite one? Because mine's definitely the Kubrick faking the moon landing. If you know of any other conspiracy theories, let me know in the comments and maybe I could look into them for another video. This can be any conspiracies, whether it's to do with films or other things, because I find it really interesting how much people invest themselves into these conspiracies, so maybe I could do a few more videos like this. So if you enjoyed it, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell, and I'll see you in the next one.